Tom Izzo, Mr. March, as a lot of people know you. Do you like that nickname, first of all?
Well, I like what the nickname means, but I think some people think that means I only work in March. They think I take November, December, January, and February
You come
off.
alive in March.
Maybe that's it. You come alive in March. I'd rather be known as Mr. All Year, Mr. Consistency, but I think consistency has been something we've really appreciated on our program. You know, the 25 straight years kind of tells you that we've had our ups and downs, but the downs have never been too low. And my goal is to always be knocking on the door of a Big Ten championship and always be knocking on the door of a Final Four. And, you know, this year we were knocking on that door, it just didn't open.
Yeah, well, I mean, you did still live up to, I think, the nickname at least this year by blowing past expectations, taking that 7-seed team to the Sweet 16, beating my USC Trojans in the process. How much of that run even caught you by surprise?
You know, it sounds stupid. It really didn't.
Wow.
Because I said all year, if you watched, I really felt all year I liked this team. We had some major injuries early to 2 starters, and one of them came back, and Jaden Akins had a hell of a second half of the year. And Malik Hall really never came fully back, and yet I thought as he got better, and you know, we lost some close games. A 1-pointer to Purdue, we're leading with 3 seconds left. A 1-pointer to Iowa, we're leading by 3 with 2 seconds left. You know, games like that, we had more than our share. We had 2 or 3 or 4, and you win those, and you're competing for a Big Ten championship. So I always had a feel that we were good. We were together. I didn't think we were the most talented team I've had by far. We weren't, but I thought we were one of the more connected teams we've had.
Yeah, there's a viral clip of you in the first round against USC, getting a little frustrated, and in the process, breaking a clipboard. I'm sure you've seen that video played back to you a couple times now. I brought a gift for you.
A new clipboard?
Yeah. But this one has a bit of a message on it, just in case you forgot what you're supposed to not do.
Do not break me.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it.
Keep that in mind.
I'll keep that.
Or break it if you want.
No, I'll handle
It's
that.
yours.
You know, the sad part is, so I got caught on film doing that, which was no big deal. It's my way of getting my attention to my players, but I've probably broken 50 of them in my career.
There's nothing new.
No, it was just another day when the girl says, I got this broken clipboard. I said, you got one of them.
Those are hard to break. I mean,
well, you know what's happened is about 8 years ago, they went from the hard cardboard, which were easy to break, to this, and I got fooled there early on. I'm trying to do my normal, and it didn't work, so I had to adjust. But you know what? It's I really blamed it on the company that built them, because they're just cheap and they crack for no reason.
Or maybe you've just been hitting the weight room.
Maybe
that's
I've been
what
hitting
it
the
is.
weight room. One of the two.
It's not easy to do. It's also not easy to do what you guys did in the tournament, especially considering what happened just 32 days before on campus here, a mass shooting where 3 students were killed, 5 others were injured the night of February 13th. What do you remember from that night when those alerts first started coming out?
Well, I remember the first thing is the alerts came out. The second thing is, where's my kid? The third thing is, where's my players? And that sounds selfish, but I mean, that's what goes through your mind. And then as my staff got a hold of my players and my kid called and his girlfriend was actually in the building, kind of locked into a bathroom, it kind of hit home even more, you know? And by 11:30 that night or 12 o'clock, you know, when they had captured at least one of, because they didn't know if it was more than one, you know, you began to think, okay. And then by 1 o'clock, my son, who had been with some of our managers and our video guy, was locked in a room downstairs. You got to talk to the people and to the players. Then the reality set that somebody's son and daughter, they're not going to get to talk to. That was a hard moment. And the next day was a tough day because no matter what you did, and you said to yourself, well, my kid's okay, but somebody else's kid. So you wear your coach hat, and then you wear your dad hat, and sometimes the two hats don't meet. And that was what I think I went through there, that I started feeling a little better that my son was okay. Then I felt better that my team was okay, and then I realized the reality of there's 5 kids in the hospital. There's 3 that kids aren't okay. And it was a surreal time here, one that I'm glad our people here acted so quickly. I'm glad the police of all the different groups acted so quickly, and that was, I think, important.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because at the candlelight vigil, when you got up and spoke in the midst of all this devastation, something that you said was, you know, even with all this bad that is happening, we still have to remember the good.
Yeah.
What
And that
exactly
was
did you
hard.
mean
It
by
was
that?
like you wanted to give a Newt Rockney speech. You had all these people there, and I'm thinking to myself, what are the 3 sets of parents thinking who lost their children? You know, there was no positive to that. But my message there was more about we've got to stick together. You know, unfortunately in life, you are always moving forward. You know, whether I die or you die or somebody that we really care about does, the world doesn't stop rotating, you know, and but yet we got to learn from it. How do we get better? And that was kind of the message I wanted. I wanted everybody to help each other, because I think sometimes you go in a shell when something goes wrong, and you go in your room, and I didn't think that was good for anybody. So I just tried to talk about the things that I thought needed to be said, and that was that this was a tragedy, that we've got to find a way for this to quit happening on more of a regular basis, but we got to help each other through this. And that's the final message, you know, that we have to help each other through without forgetting what happened, try to improve on why it happened, and yet make sure that the people that are still here, we grab them, we hug them, we talk to them, and we move forward.
And sports plays a huge role in helping people heal. We've seen it after the Boston Marathon when the Bruins won the Stanley Cup. We've seen it after Katrina a few years later when the New Orleans Saints win the Super Bowl, and we've seen that now here at Michigan State. How much of what happened here fueled the run in March?
You know, I don't think you'd ever know that, but you know, you talk about some things that happened, and I was privileged to be a part of, after 9/11, my buddy Mariucci was coaching the 49ers, and they played the first game after 9/11. It was a Thursday night game, only one game in New York City. And he says, you got to come out to this. So I flew out to it, and I was on the field. And when the firemen and the police officers, and the way our country bonded together was something I'd never seen before. It didn't matter if you were black or white, if you were Hispanic, if you were old, if you were young. It didn't matter what political party you were from. Everybody kind of rallied. That night will be etched in stone. And when I listen to people say, how could they still play a game then a week and a half later? It was to try to start the healing process. And so I agree with you that I think sports can help the healing process. But it was, our next game was at Michigan. And I remember being in the locker room and talking to my guys, and you couldn't say, let's go win one for them, because those people aren't around anymore. And it was too difficult for me to even think that way as a father. So I said, let's make this a hug for 15,000 people that would be in our stadium, you know, even though it was at theirs. And they did a great job of what they did, but I don't know how that weighed. I'm sure it weighed some, but you know, that's some of the things you don't get into the hearts and the heads of 18 to 22-year-olds. And I just know that wearing the jersey, standing there for the national anthem, it was a difficult time. And that the way our guys played, you know, it was right till the end, it was a game. We were up late and just couldn't hang on. And I thought our guys gave us everything they had, and that's what you ask them, that you're not just playing for yourself. You know, you're always playing for our school. But this year, playing for something a little bigger, and didn't take away from the loss of the 3 individuals. But I know one of the guys in the hospital was a huge Spartan fan, and I know it meant a lot to him, and I just think it was part of the healing process.
Yeah, like they give you some inspiration, you give them some hope in return.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair way of putting it, you know, that unfortunately life does move on, but I think the hardest part is making sure you never forget still what they're going through. Because it goes on for us in one way, but if that was my child, your brother, excuse me, or sister, it would take a different road, you know, a different path. And so just trying to make sure that we understood both was something I think will benefit our guys. The saddest part of this, not the saddest part was the lives we lost, but next was that I told my guys in the first meeting at my house, because we weren't allowed back on campus, I said, I don't know what to say to you. I've never been through this. The sad part is they might not know what to say to their kids because they have been through this. That bothers me a lot in some ways.
Another thing that I think gives people hope, at least from what I've seen on the campus here, is the rock that a lot of people paint different messages on. The first message we saw was how many more. We also saw Spartan Strong, and that rock was kind of within eyesight of you when you were speaking at the vigil. Is there any message that you would put on the rock if you had the opportunity to do so?
It's a deep question. A good question, but a deep question. You know, I remember standing there. I could see the rock off the left of my eye. I had gone visited the rock because everybody put flowers around it. The rock has been something that's been used on this campus for decades on different topics. And, you know, I think if I put something on the rock is respect. You know, respect your fellow students, respect your fellow Michiganders, respect your fellow people in your country, and respect the people in the world, you know. No matter who you are and what you are, I hope we get to the point where we're all human beings first. And then we can be, you know, from the United States, and then we can be from the state of Michigan, and then we can be whatever race we are, and then whatever political party we are. But remember, we're human beings first.
We're more alike than we are different.
There you go.
At the root of it. I do want to switch gears here for just a second, because as most people, of course, recognize you as the coach of Michigan State. You've been doing it for so long. You also played a little basketball back in the day at Northern Michigan from 73 to 77. I was trying to do some research online and have a little quiz, but I couldn't figure out any of your stats from those days. Do you remember how many points you averaged?
They were pretty good stats.
Okay,
you know,
let's hear it.
My senior year, 11 or 12, and probably 7, 8 assists. But maybe more importantly, my first collegiate start was my sophomore year, 4th game of the season.
Wow.
Michigan State came to Northern Michigan.
How cool.
And Gregory Kelser was on that team, and Benny White. There was some guys that are pitchers are up here, and it was a pretty crazy time, you know. And Mariucci had the whole football team there, and they had signs, and we were in the game most of the first half, and got beat by 30. So we were sacrificial lambs. But I give Gus Kanakis a lot of credit. He took his team up there. He was friends with Glenn Brown, my coach, and they played in a Division II school, and that was pretty cool. In fact, it kind of makes me want to play an exhibition game up there before I'm done here, just to maybe rekindle where I started.
Come
you know?
full circle.
Come full circle,
Yeah.
and show my guys what it's like to play, probably would fly up there. I wouldn't take the bus like we did, but I would probably fly up there, and I think that would be something cool. So that's on my radar list.
Sure. Yeah, the travel has changed. Also, looking at the shorts and the high socks, the outfits have changed. I've seen one picture of you in your playing days. You kind of look like that over there.
Yeah, Terry Furlow we played against him too. So
there we go.
So you're right. You're exactly right. It was really short shorts.
Very.
And then they went to really long shorts, and now they're
We're
in
almost
between.
going backwards, yeah.
We are going backwards, and that's the way it is. I should have just kept the same shorts. Could have gone in style, out of style, in style, out of style. You keep them around. It's like fat ties, skinny ties.
Yeah.
They all come back.
History doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes.
That's right.
One stat I did find was that you set the school record for minutes played in a season as a senior at Northern Michigan. Great stat, right?
Yeah, great stat, because it's the only one I had that made any relevance.
So.
But, it was fun. I tell guys all the time, like I didn't redshirt my first year because I was a walk-on. Nobody thought I was good enough, and I ended up doing all right. And if I would have had another year, like my boy Mariucci, he redshirted his first year as a quarterback and then had his fifth year and almost won back-to-back national championships. So I always said, I played, I think it was 73 minutes my first year, and I think it was over 1,000 my last year, if I would add one more year, So everybody's in a hurry to get out of college, It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of, because all they get to do is what you and I get to do, and that's work. And that stuff isn't so good. They talk about, well, you make money, you do this, you do that. No, read my lips. It's a 4-letter word. You work. And it doesn't change for 40 years probably. And so I try to tell guys I'd stay in college as long as I could if it was me.
I agree with you on that. But I'm curious, would Tom Izzo, the coach, recruit Tom Izzo, the player?
Hell no. Hell no, he wouldn't.
You were a walk-on, so it didn't sound like.
No, I've recruited some pretty good walk-ons here.
Okay.
Matt Ishbia was a walk-on
yeah,
here.
sure was.
A different way. A kid named Tim Bograkis. I had some guys that played here and helped us. But no, I wouldn't have recruited Tom Izzo. I wish I could recruit the heart of Tom Izzo, or maybe the toughness of Tom Izzo, or maybe the work ethic of Tom Izzo. But the size, the skill, nah, I'd have let him go.
Okay. You test his skills as a walk-on, see what he can do, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, as a coach, again, you have been doing it for so long. You've been here for 28 years, since 1995. How much longer do you think you got?
That's always $1 million question,
Sure
too,
is.
that everybody wants to know. And when I say this, it'll bother some people. I don't know. What I do know is right now I still love my job. I'm not very proud of my profession. I don't think we've done a very good job professionally on where we're taking college sports right now. So I struggle with that a little bit. But as long as I love coming to work and love seeing guys go from here to here, you got one in your town. When I look at a Xavier Tillman, he came in, 280 pounds and, maybe not the best conditioned guy, and watch the work ethic and the direction his life went, both academically and athletically, to leave here in 3 years as a graduate, an academic All-American, and now what's turning out to be a pretty good NBA career. Those are the success stories I live for. I tell my players all the time, 2 guys, Tom Izzo and Steve Mariucci, came from a town of 7,000 in the UP and made it to the 49ers and to a national champion. The chances of that were 1,000,000 to 1. So why not try to be a national champ here? Why not try to be a pro here? Your chances are long shot. I got to live my dream. Now my new dream is to help you to live yours. And that's a pretty good deal. And if I can help other guys live their dream and live the life I've lived, it's a good deal.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my new goal in life now. It's less personal as far as the success. It's more personal in in what I get to see other people do.
Their success.
Their
is
success,
what's important.
what they get to do, and it's pretty cool.
Well, still, retirement's going to come eventually.
Yeah.
And I want to know, like, do you have a bucket list of items you want to do when you get to that point?
Yeah, I want to golf every day.
Okay. Skydive?
I might try skydiving.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not afraid of heights, so I might. I don't know though. I'm not big on traveling all over the world because I've traveled a lot, and I'm kind of tired of traveling. I've got a beach home over in Grand Haven. I maybe spend a little more time there. I'd probably do what Magic said he was going to do if he ever comes back, and that's I'd get maybe a RV and follow my football team around, since that's my favorite sport to this day.
You're gonna live the van life?
I could live the van life. I used to live the trailer life, so I could live the van life.
Yeah.
And I'd do that, and I think I'd enjoy it. But, my daughter is supposed to have a baby in July, so I think I'll learn to be a good grandpa, and spoil that kid a little bit, and also teach him a few things that will help her survive life.
You gonna put a basketball in his hands early on?
I don't know if I'll do that. Like I said to my kids, and she knows it's going to be a girl, so her daughter, I just want them to be involved in sports. I could care less what sport. If my kid was in the band, if he was in soccer, my daughter was in the plays, just something where there's camaraderie and team. Not this be by yourself.
So no video games. That's not.
Video games would probably be off my list,
okay.
Even though I know they're the greatest babysitting form now for those young kids. They give them an iPad. And I'm not a big fan of video games, so I probably won't get an NLI deal with any of them. But I'm really not, because I think we spend way too much time wasted on our phones and that stuff, and less time searching for what will make us happy for a lifetime. So I think I'll get a chance to do some things I want to do, but I also don't see myself sitting at my beach home in a rocking chair reading a book. It's just not what I plan on doing. So
that would fit the grandpa title, though.
That would, but that doesn't fit the Izzo title.
Fair enough.
And I'm probably, when I retire, will be the day that I don't want to do what it takes to keep this program at this level. If I don't want to make a recruiting trip, I don't want to have a meeting with a player at 1 o'clock in the morning when we came back. I don't want to, drive somewhere to talk to an alum. When that day comes, I'm out. There'll be no party. There'll be no farewell tour. It'll be, I'm out of here.
He's gone.
And that's because I think this place has been really good to me. And they deserve to have me at full boat. You can't be halfway in these jobs, and the minute that day comes, I better either know it, or I better have enough good friends around me that tell me it.
Luckily, it sounds like that day is far in the future.
Yeah, I really don't think it's in the near future. I mean, as they say, you're on the back nine. Well, of course, life doesn't go forever. But I'm not on the 18th hole.
Sure. Let's talk about something coming up this weekend. The Izzo Legacy 5K run. Tell me what that's all about.
It's an interesting deal. My wife and daughter thought about, what are we going to do when we're done? And because I've given this place 28 years, but I've given it another 12 as a GA assistant coach. So when you've been in the same place just about your whole adult life, they thought, what can we do? And so they thought of charities and giving back. And so we've done it a little different than some. Some pick one charity and have a golf outing or a dinner or a race. Or, we thought to staying fit, staying with the athletic part, we'd have a race. And so we kind of met with Playmakers, who runs a lot of these, and they did an unbelievable job. But my wife and daughter and the volunteers did the job. I show up, and it's game time, and unfortunately get too much credit. sometimes. Although during the year I get too much blame sometimes
Okay.
too. So I guess it evens out.
Balances out.
Balances out. But on that day, you know, I get my team here. This year they're expecting almost 4,000 runners, which is amazing because it started kind of during COVID or right before COVID. So
Is that like the biggest you've ever had? you
it'll be
think?
the biggest. Yeah.
Congrats.
The weather's supposed to be off the charts. So
Don't
the
jinx it now.
weatherman. I'm not superstitious.
Okay.
But of all the years for what happened on this campus, I think it's a way to gather people. And my favorite thing is when you gather people and you get to meet new people. Just getting to know you here for the first time, you seem to have people skills. I think a lot of people, because of this, don't have people skills. So one of the things I want to do at my race or at our race or at any gatherings I have is people to meet people. And somebody meets somebody new that maybe they wouldn't have known, and that person helps them. And that's what the world should be about. How can we help somebody else? And so it's just a giving back to our community. My wife's picked 12 charities, so it's not like they're making millions. I mean, we have made, I think, over $400,000 in a couple years because, you know, when you throw COVID in there, it throws a monkey wrench in there. But that thing is now taking off. And there's some great charities that we try to help because they're helping our community be a better place. And this community has given me so much. It's just a very small way that I can give back to them. And hopefully it keeps growing.
Sounds like it is.
It is. And hopefully when I'm done, I don't quit doing it because that'll give me something to do. Unfortunately, right now, it's a lot of work for my wife and daughter and the volunteers, and I stroll in, and everybody thinks I did it. So I'm telling all you, I didn't do it. I've been a part of it. I'm involved in it, but the work part of it, I've got that doggone day job that I kind of work on for
That you've been doing for
more
a
than
few years.
more than March. So you know, it's
He's Mr. Year Round. He wants to make
I want to be
change.
more year round. I don't golf in November, December, January, February, and then coach in March. But sometimes feels like I do, so I understand why people would think that.
It's good. For this weekend at least, other people are the coach. They take charge.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you run in it?
You know, I have run in it the first year. The problem now is we started a thing where we do it on spring game. And Mark D'Antonio was so great. Mel Tucker now has been so great with letting us end the race in the stadium. So people get to take a lap around the stadium. And most people have never been on the field. You know, they're always in the stands. So we take pictures in that. Well, the problem is I got some runners that are too damn good. So they take off and they finish that race in 25 minutes, or I don't know what the time is. So I got to go from starting the race, starting the walk race, starting the roll race, since we have, you know, people in wheelchairs, we've got that in there. By the time I'm done, that first guy's almost getting there, and I got to be over the stadium. So, because
I'm sure you know a shortcut or two on this campus.
I know a lot of shortcuts, and the best one is take the golf cart and go like a bat out of hell, you know, shoot and get there. But I think in general, I do like to take the cart and pass by everybody just so I can see them and tell them how much I appreciate them. But then I got to get there because I got to give out the medals and I got pictures and I got the second part of the deal. So I don't run, but I do run and walk most days. I'm still trying to stay in shape. One of these days, maybe I'll do that again. I'll let you know. You can film
Please
it.
do. Well, because I wanted to ask if you participated by running, because in trying to do research for this, an article said that you have ran in marathons in your life with disappointing results. Not my words, the article's words. Is that true?
Well, that's, you know how writers are. They're all negative.
Yeah, true.
So that's the typical writer that wrote that. But the truth is I have ran 3. 2 I finished. And one was a great story because I never even knew what a marathon was. They had one in Marquette, you know, pretty hilly. So I trained a little bit, what I thought was a little bit. The most I ever ran was 15 miles. And
That's still far.
yeah, but I just, you know, so all of a sudden I heard of this story about you get to the 21-mile mark of it, and your body starts going crazy, you know, and face comes numb. And you heard these stories. It's called a hit the wall. When you hit the wall, it's usually around the 21 mile mark. So I'm running and I'm doing pretty good, you know. I'm feeling good, and I get to right around the 21 mile mark, and I said, "Oh, the hell with that wall, you know. I feel good," and I'm trucking along. I get about half mile past it, and I start feeling a little goofy. And
you hit the wall real hard.
So I said, "Well, I'll just slow down a little bit." And then I said, "I'll just walk a little bit." And as I did that, they have a Jeep that comes by, the Red Cross Jeep, and those guys know. And the guy looked at me, he goes, like, "Get in," you know. And I didn't swear at him, of course, because I don't use that kind of language, but I did tell him to get the hell out of here, I'm gonna make it, you know, and went a little farther and kind of started to get down on my knees just to take a rest. And there was an older lady there that's probably my age now, but she was an older lady when I was 23 or 24. And she gave me the, "Come on, son, you can make it," you know. Pretty soon her 70-some-year-old husband come jogging by me, and I think that was the final straw.
That'll make you feel better.
I felt so bad then. I said, "Oh, man." So I got up and I walked another half mile, and the truck was sitting there waiting. And by then I'd cramped up so bad I just got in. So I didn't make the first one, but the other two I made. And you're right, times weren't great. Let me tell you something about a marathon. If you ever think about running one, finishing is the celebration, unless you're one of those Boston Marathon people, which I'm not. So finishing was the celebration. So when you get back, do your research, call that writer and ask them if he ever finished a 2-mile race.
Yeah. No, he's
The
just
answer
sitting
will
there
be no.
behind a computer
There you go.
talking smack on you.
There you
I
go.
can tell you I will never be running a marathon, not my thing. So even your first race where you didn't finish, still more impressive than anything I'm ever going to do.
Oh, that's good. Then we're on the same page.
Yeah, great. I do want to end with this because the title of this weekend's event is a legacy 5K. Legacy is the big term there. What do you hope your legacy is here?
Boy, for a new guy on the block, you ask a lot of tough questions.
Hey, not often do we get to land an interview with Tom Izzo, so I wanted to come
Yeah,
prepared
well,
for you.
ask my wife. It's not that big a deal. But anyway, I would say that what is my legacy here? I want people to know I did it the right way, because I think that's important. And believe it or not, every player that comes here or plays for me, there's a personal interest in that player. It might not always seem like it, but there really is, and I don't think it ends when they're done playing here. And that's what I want people to know, that the legacy is I appreciate the opportunity this university gave me and this community, and I think a good deal is when you get just as much as you give. And I think that I've gotten a lot, and I think I've given back something to this place. A lot of, the 8 Final Fours, the 10 championships, a lot of memorable moments that people could smile and have fun with. There's been a few disappointing ones, but and it's been, the last would be, are you consistent? Did you consistently do something, or were you just a one-time guy, and I think that's what I want to be known for here, is not Mr. March, Mr. Consistency, that we've been pretty consistent and did it the right way. That would make me feel very good.
Mr. Year-Round, Mr. March, Mr. Consistency, whatever the nickname is, Tom Izzo.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.